Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
Is that our theme song now?
No, just get excited.
You have to do it. You have to do that every time now.
Oh, I don't know if I have that kind of energy every morning.
And we are continuing our top 100 games of all time. Today we are doing 80 to 71. It's going to be great.
That's right. This is our third installment of this series. We actually have some crossover, so we'll talk about that kind of
In this little
within
section.
this sliver. It actually happened a few times. We have like some of our games that we like are very different. Some are very similar.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we have our shared experiences, right?
Yeah. Our Venn diagram blends over a lot, though. I think that's why we can enjoy playing games together.
We both like and dislike certain things, and we both like and dislike opposite things too. So that's why some of our favorite experiences are shared ones, because we like them because we each like them too. It's just like a whole psychological thing.
Yeah.
But let's roll this thing out. Let's talk about our number 80 game.
All right, my number 80 is Rolled West. I have actually never played the game that this is based off of.
Gold West?
Yes, I've never played that, but I have played Rolled West. This is a roll and write game. You are rolling these die and putting them in your little dry erase board marker. I don't know why I like this game so much. It's just so fun. You're trying to build these tracks, you're trying to build buildings, and you're mining for things at the same time. And it's one of those games where you can never do everything you want to do. You feel like it's just going to be super easy and straightforward. And while it is, like, you're just like, if I only had one more turn every time I play this.
All right, my number 80, this is Tiny Epic Galaxies. The Tiny Epic line we absolutely love. We've played through almost 100% of them, except for maybe the exception of like the one or two most new ones.
Yeah.
And they're all great, but this is probably my favorite. It is my favorite because it's the only one that made the top 100. So it's kind of like a representative for all the Tiny Epics. It's like, this is our leader, our champion. And it's probably the most well-known one, too.
Yeah.
And it's for good reason. It's a great game. It's kind of got these two resource tracks that you're going up on, and you spend those resource tracks to kind of build up your engine, give yourself more ships that can go out there, give yourselves more points, more different things that you can do on your turn. There's a really fun mechanism that you can follow each other on a turn. So you have this culture track, and it's one of the resources, but you can also spend culture to follow someone's action. So if someone does an action, you're like, okay, on their turn, you can say, all right, I'm going to spend a culture, and I'm going to do that same thing too.
Yeah.
Which is a really cool mechanism. I like that. So you're always paying attention to everyone's turn as you're kind of going through this game, because you want to know when you can copy someone and if they do something cool.
All right, my number 79 is Libertalia, Winds of Gale Crest. This is one of those games where everybody starts with the same amount of cards, and then you play one and you resolve in order, but everybody's not necessarily going to play the same card. One of the reasons why I really like this game is I like higher player count games that are not party games, and this one totally fits that. It's a higher game count player game, but it's not like this party even though you do laugh a lot in this game, but it's not a party game. But that's why I really like this one, is because you can get a good gamer feel with a lot of people.
All right, so my number 79, this is Nippon Rails. This is one of the Crayon Rail games, and again, it's my favorite of the Crayon game system games. And we've played a bunch of them. I think the original one was Empire Builder. That's through the USA map. We've played Martian Rails, it's on Mars. We've played China, India Rails. We've played a bunch of them. This one's my favorite. If you're unfamiliar with that system, basically it is a route building train game, but you actually take a crayon and you draw on the board. It's kind of this dry erase, I guess you'd call it dry erase. This dry erase board that you're kind of filling out with all the different places you're going. And then once you complete all these routes, you are buying and selling goods and shipping them all over the map to all different places. This city has this demand, but it produces this thing. This city produces this thing and has this demand. This city over here has this city and this demand. And you're trying to connect them all, sell the right goods to the right people, all this stuff. It is... It can be a longer game, but I think for the Nippon one specifically plays well at lower player counts. It's kind of a long, skinny map of Japan. So I think it's better for the 2-3 player count, which is why it's one of the favorite ones that we play the most often. It doesn't hit the table as much as I'd like to, but I love the Crayon Royal game system, and this is a fun one.
All right, my number 78 is Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers deck building game. This is actually just kind of a placeholder for all of the Lord of the Rings games. This is a Cryptozoic game, so
The Cerberus deck building engine.
exactly. So it's one of those games that if it weren't for the IP, I don't know if it would be as high. I'm just going to admit it. That's the truth. That's what's happening here. But I like all
At least
three
you
of
can
these
admit
games.
it.
Yes, I like all three of these games. And so this just kind of represents all three of those deck builders.
And the Hobbit one.
And the Hobbit one, it definitely does suffer from a runaway leader. The first person to buy one of those higher cards usually ends up winning the game. But I don't care because I like seeing all the stuff that I recognize from the movies.
All right, my number 78. This is kind of a weird out of left field choice. It's a little box game called Yokai, and it is a cooperative memory tile game. So basically, the end of the goal, there's 4 different colors or symbols, 4 different things on the board. They're all face down. Your goal, cooperatively, is to make sure that all of the 4 of each things are touching. So all the 4 purples are together, all the 4 greens are touching, all the 4 blues are together, all the 4 reds are together.
Without breaking up the map.
And everything stays face down the entire game. And so you're peeking at some stuff, you're moving some stuff around. You might be able to give a couple of clues as to what's going on, but everyone else is like, okay, what would they do? So do I choose to peek at what they just peeked at? Do I choose? And on top of that, there's kind of like a miniature little campaign mode. Things get harder and harder and harder. Oh my gosh, I can take this game anywhere, show it to anyone, and everyone's like, why have I never heard this game? It's so cool. It's so weird. I love it. I love playing this game. And I just, nobody talks about it, but I like it. Everyone I show it to likes it. And I've sold a few copies of this as well just because people are like, this is weird, and I love it.
Yeah, they play it with us and go out and buy it.
Yeah.
All right, my number 77 is Pitch Car, and this is a dexterity game. Dexterity games are so much fun, but this is a game where you're literally flicking this little car on a racetrack, and we put ramps in ours, so you're trying to flip them over the ramp, and it's so funny because it doesn't matter how great you think you are, you're going to screw up at least once. And it doesn't matter how horrible you think you are, you're going to do one awesome move at least once in every single game. So this is definitely a game that spectators and players will both enjoy. So even if you're only playing with like 5 people, you can still have 10 people involved in that process because it's a great spectator game, which can't be said for a lot of board games, but this one is a great spectator game.
All right, my number 77, this is Navigador. This is a kind of a bigger game. It's one of the first games I played that had an action rondelle, and I instantly fell in love with that. And every time I hear there's an action rondelle in a game, I'm like, I'm interested. I want to play. Let's do it. Overall, what you're trying to do is you're taking off from Portugal, and you're trying to explore as much of the world as possible. You're setting up these little towns or these little settlements or whatever, and you're trying to gather resources from wherever you go. The more boats you have out there, you're kind of building up your fleet, and the more boats you have, the more farther you can go. It's a longer, older school Euro, but it never fails to satisfy every time I play this game. There was an implementation of it online too. I want to say it was on either Yukata or one of those websites that played, you can play online games, and the implementation was really good on that too. I haven't played it in a while, but Navigador is I would say it's a classic. It's really highly ranked too on BGG, but I don't hear getting a lot of play nowadays. But it's still a lot of fun.
All right, my number 76 is Disney's Lorcana. This is a card game, collectible card game, tradable card game. I actually don't know the difference between those two. Are they the same thing?
They're the same. I think the idea is the collectible ones have like a bigger emphasis on rarity, and tradable ones are more like, you've got some good stuff, I've got some good stuff, let's trade back and forth. Okay. And it's both, right?
It's both. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I never played, and I never wanted to play any of the other ones. I never wanted to play Magic or Pokemon. I just did not care 2 poops about those. But I was able to get on this one in the ground floor. So even though I haven't been able to explore it nearly as much as I would have liked, just because we're playing all these other games, because I understand the system, because I knew it from the get-go, I actually really enjoyed it and building it. And it's things I'm already familiar with. I think it's great when you can do that with a game when you have like these characters and stuff you already know. It's easier for me to learn and understand the game, and I felt like this did it really well, and we could play it with our children, which was a huge plus for us.
Yeah, my 76 is The Quacks of Quedlinburg. I cannot stand push roll games. I avoid them at all costs. One of my least favorite mechanisms.
Guess what I really like?
This is one of those things that we have opposite thoughts on.
Opposite. Yeah.
But The Quacks of Quedlinburg does one of the best jobs of making a enjoyable push your luck style game. You feel like you're pushing your luck every time. Even if you do bust, there's two things that are going to happen at the end of your turn. You're going to get income and you're going to get points. Income that we can buy new stuff to make your bag. It's a bag building game. You get your bag better and better. If you do bust on your push your luck element of the game, you're not just like done and out. You still get to take either the points or the money, so you can still continue to build your bag. You're not just dead in the water. I love that idea. There's also a nice little catch-up mechanism in terms of the scoring, with these little rat tail things. Every time you play, there's new ways you can play it with the way that all different tokens can mean different things based off of how you set it up. This is an incredibly clever game, very fun. This is my favorite push your luck game. Really fun.
All right, I was just listening to you. I forgot that I had to talk again. My number 75 is Nobleman. This is a game where you literally are a nobleman and you're trying to grow your prestige. You're trying to get greater land. You're trying to gain influence in court. And it's really fun. What I really like is you become different noble people, and there's like this board that you get to take out and put in depending on like how noble you are. I really like that. We actually almost got rid of this game because it requires at least 3 people to play, and that we're just not able to. At the time, we weren't able to do that. Our kids are older now. We can like do everything we want, but at the time we weren't able to, and we went to play it one more time because we had people over and we're like, yeah, I don't think we can get rid of this. We really liked this game. It was really fun. So it's just, I don't know, if you like that type of thing, if you like historical romance, you're going to love this game. I don't read historical romance, but I can take it from somebody who I know reads and writes that, who really enjoyed this game. So I can say that with authority.
All right, let's go on to my 75, which we heard a little bit about already, which is Disney's Lorcana. All right, so I have played a bunch of CCGs and LCGs and collectible card games and tradable card games and all that stuff. I've played through the Pokemon. I've played the Star Wars CCG. I've played Magic, and I kind of like them all, unfortunately. They're all money pits, so I can only do one at a time. And the point is, this is the one that right now I'm putting my intention towards, which is still not a lot of attention because, like Bethany said, we're still doing a lot of other games.
Yeah.
Some people who play these kinds of games are kind of treating them like lifestyle games. It's the main game they play.
It's a fun one.
They really dig deep into it. We can't do it. We're more surface level, kitchen table, Lorcana players, that kind of thing. But nevertheless, I've got 4 or 5 decks that I've been tinkering with. I get a pack every once in a while whenever I'm at my local game store and kind of just upgrade things and spice things up. And I know there's our decks. If we were to go to tournaments, I actually have won one Lorcana tournament, which was really fun. But things have changed a little bit. There's been a couple more sets that have come out since then.
Yeah.
And
we would not be winning anything.
But this is a very friendly scene, much more friendly than Magic or Pokemon, which I did like competitive Pokemon for a while too. Like I did like tournaments and all that stuff for that, and it was
in the mid-aughts.
Yeah, and it was I don't want to say toxic. That's too strong of a word, but it was weird, and it was competition was strong and intense, and like it wasn't friendly, I guess. This is super friendly. This is like they're giving out free cards, they're giving out free events.
It's because you were doing that at the same time you're doing disc golf competitions, and those people are friendly.
Yes, that's true.
They're like excited when you do well.
Yes.
And the Pokemon people are like
They're
not excited when you do well.
Yeah. But Lorcana, great scene, great card game, fun character. The art is amazing. The gameplay is familiar and yet at the same time novel.
Yeah.
Great system. Love it.
All right, my number 74 is something we talked about earlier, and that is Tiny Epic Galaxies. We do like a lot of those Tiny Epic games, and Tiny Epic Galaxies is just such a fun one. They have a version of this called Epic Tiny
Ultra Tiny Epic?
Something like that. Yeah. It's in a tuck box, and so we've taken this out. Like if we go to coffee dates, we just like throw this in my purse, and so we take this sometimes to go when we're just like going out to play a game at, out in public. It's the exact same game, but with like these cubes instead of dice. It actually works. You'd be shocked. But I do like this. I like that when you have these ships, and some of the ships you're trying to get the card, but then you can't get the benefit on it, or you want to get the benefit of it, so you have to determine what you're doing with these ships. So I really like that, and how everything builds up. I really like how I think Tiny Epic does a really good job of saying how many pieces you actually need for this game. Like, what can we keep track of in different ways? And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm endeared towards these games, is because there's less components for me without taking away the gameplay for me.
Yeah. All right. My number 74. This is Hero Realms. This is the kind of, I guess you could say, a sequel to Star Realms, keeping that same system. So it's a deck building game. You can do it as a 2-player dueling deck building game. I think you can even do up to 4 players once you add in extra stuff. One of the really nice things I like is one of the mini expansions, it gives you individual players, so your starting decks are different. I know that right out of the box, you're playing is the same stuff, just like in Star Realms. In Hero Realms, once you get those character packs, well, there's actually an expansion for Star Realms that does the same thing, but we're talking about Hero Realms right now. You have asynchronous starting hands as you're going at this, which is really, really fun. There's also a cooperative mode, kind of, where you can have these big, big bad guys that you're going up against. And you can even play it to where one player is playing the big bad guy, and then other people are all kind of teaming up against that one player, because that player has one really, really strong deck, or whatever the case is. So there's lots and lots of customizability here. There's an app that has an amazing campaign mode that has like different difficulty levels, and you can go through and kind of this tech tree that you're building out with all these ways that you can build up the ranger and the hunter and the blah 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 blah. Really, really fun deck builder, great app integration, and great physical card game as well.
All right, my number 73 is Flamecraft. This is actually one of the games I got our library to buy, so if you live in the Quad City area, you can check this out from your library. You can get this, and you can borrow it. But it has adorable artwork. Ryan, this isn't my phrase, Ryan made up this phrase, but he said it's an engine building. How do you say this? It makes so much sense. Like an engine building that you're building together.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're like building this engine together, even though you're playing competitively, because you're putting these cards out there and then you're building on top of them, so you can do other things.
Yeah, the board kind of gets stronger together as you all collaboratively play together. You're not necessarily playing cooperatively, but collaboratively things are getting stronger.
Exactly. Yeah. So I just really like how you explained that. But this is one of those games where the artwork just like really draws you in. It is adorable. It is fantastic. I like that. And I just like that you're, the engine building that you're doing with this. So this is a cute one.
This is one of the few games that we sought out, like the upgraded bits too, like the cool minis and the metal coins and all this stuff. Really nice. All right, my number 73 is Inhuman Conditions. Man, another game I just hear no one talking about, and you're all, shame on you for not hearing about this, and we're talking about it because it's awesome. When I think of social deduction games, I think of big party games, right?
Yeah.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players, more. That kind of thing. Two Rooms and a Boom, Avalon, Secret Hitler, all those kinds of games. Those are the ones that people talk about social deduction games. This is a 2-player social deduction game. It's crazy! Alright, so basically this takes place in like the future, where you have cyborgs and robots and things like that. But they are all illegal. The one that's legal to hire as an employee is humans. So you have one person who is the interviewee, okay, and then they're interviewing someone. And they know who they are, but the interviewee does not. They're either a human, or they are a cyborg, or they are a robot. So there's a violent robot and there's like a nice robot, basically. And throughout the course of the game, the robot has to, if they are a robot, they have to sneak in all these various phrases. So they have to like say weird stuff intentionally in order to sneak by. But if they're human, they also have to give it a persona that's also weird. So then as the interviewer, you have to figure out, is this person weird because they're just a weird human? Or are they saying things because they have to say them because they're a robot? And then you have to suss that out, and the game can win either because the violent robot stood up and shoots the interviewee, or the robot who's peaceful can sneak by and assimilate into society as a human, or the human can just get the job as a human, or the interviewee can call someone a robot and therefore reject them. Whether they were or were not an alien, or a robot. If they get rejected because they thought to be a robot, they're out. They lose. So it is very silly. There's a lot of role playing because you have to like pretend to be these various characters. You start making these stories up, and it's so much laughter and silliness. I played this recently with a group of 4 of us, and it's a 2-player game, and there's 2 of us at all times just kind of spectating, and oh my goodness, there's so much laugh. We're just laughing so much. I enjoy this one thoroughly.
It's a spectator game?
Yeah, it's a 2-player spectator game because it's just like a little miniature little role-playing game with this hidden stuff that you're forced to say sometimes. It's great. I love it.
All right, so my number 72 is Eminent Domain Battle Cruisers. I don't know of anybody talking about this game.
Why? We just like weird stuff, I think.
I think it's that, like, when we first started playing games, we were looking for all these discounts on things. So we bought a lot of games early on that were discounted, and now we're like, but those were awesome.
Well, 2 of the games mentioned, this one as well as, actually 3 of the games on this are from TMG, and TMG's out of business.
That's true.
So Nobleman, this one, and Rolled West are all TMG games that are not around anymore.
I really like this game because there's so many games that happen. So you have a deck of cards, but you only play with a certain amount of them depending on how many people you're playing with. And then it's like that game I mentioned it earlier, Libertalia. It's like that where everybody chooses a card and then you resolve.
You all have the same cards.
You all have the same cards, but you only choose one to play. And you also start with the game basically with a card out of your deck and with a card face up that you'll get into your deck. And so you resolve them in numerical order, smallest to largest. And it's just like, there's so many different games that can happen. And we went a really long time without playing this game because you need at least 3 people. But what did I just say earlier in this video? We can play all the games now because our kids really can play all the games. And we introduced this one to our children earlier. I say we, but it was Ryan. Ryan introduced this.
It was like a surprise. I know that Bethany loves this game, so I was like,
yes.
Kids, we're learning a game.
Yeah.
Buckle up, because it's one of Mom's favorites, so you're learning it.
Yeah, and Ryan was telling me how at first they're like, oh, I don't want to play this game. And then afterwards, like, can we play it again? So that was
That's how it always
awesome.
goes with them.
Yes. And this one is one of those great ones because you can, kind of like Tiny Epic, you can just like pack it with you, and you can get so many different games just in this game.
All right, my number 72. This is Ready, Set, Bet. Now, this is the loudest game on our list, or my list at least. This is a horse betting game, but it's all in real time. You have one player who is just rolling dice furiously, and all their whole job is just simply to move the horses up based off whatever the die results are and announce it in a funny voice. That's their whole job. Now, of course, if you don't have anybody that's that outgoing and crazy, there is an app that'll do it for you, and that works really, really well. However, it is really fun. I like being that person. I like playing the game too and being one of the people betting on the horses, but being the horse announcer there's something special about it. There's a certain energy in the air that just you can kind of help create, and I love that. All right, but everybody else, they are betting on which horses they think is going to finish in which order. So if you think that a certain number of horses is going to win, you bet on that horse. But there's other things you can bet on as well. I think that this horse is going to beat this other horse, not necessarily win, but beat this other horse,
or be in the top 3, be in the bottom 3.
I think that this race is going to end in a tight finish, and there's going to be 3 horses all within one spot of each other, or whatever the case is. There's all kinds of different things that you can bet on, and it gets so loud and so funny. It's like everyone starts cheering for their horse. Come on, kids, because you have to bid on it fast, because it's kind of like a worker placement style thing where once one person goes there, no one else can. All right, so you put your token down, and then it's like, Go 7, faster. No, slow down 7, or slow down 8. And everyone's just yelling. We actually ran a game of this at a convention this past summer. It was at the Strong Tower convention, and even at the thought of us running this game in their main hall, they thought it was going to be too loud. So they put us in some
they kicked us out.
They kicked us out in some back corner, and guess what? We still filled that room, and we filled it with noise, and it was awesome.
We sure did. It was so loud. I think I lost my voice for a little bit, but it was worth it. Worth it.
Great game.
All right, my number is 71, and the last one of this list is Letter Jam. This used to be my favorite word game. There's a different word game that's kicked it out. But in this game of Letter Jam, you have all of these cards and they have letters in them. You create a 5-letter word, you scramble it up, and then you move it on to somebody else. Now, nobody knows what letters they have. What they do is they draw a card and they place it face up so everybody can see everybody else's letter, but you can't see your letter. And what you are trying to do is you are trying to give clues, including that person's letter, so they can try and guess what it is. So you're giving words in certain orders. You have all these chips labeled 1 through 8. 1 through 8. And so that's the order of it. So if you see different letters, you write it down and you try to guess what your letter is. You only have X amount of clues to give. As soon as you think you have this, you put it down and you put up your next letter to try to guess all 5 of yours and try to get your, I was going to say coworkers, but that's not the right word, teammates, to try to get your teammates to also guess their letters. This is just such a clever word game. I usually get really stressed out by word games because I just have trouble. Right here in River City. But this is one that I really like because it's not like these huge grandiose words that I'm going to be tripping up on, and you just have to be creative with your clues. It's one of the best, in my opinion. It is one of the single best word games out there.
All right, so the last one from my list for today, this is my number 71, Periodic. This is a game that is based off of the periodic table of elements. It's from Genius Games, where you are trying to collect these different elements off the periodic table element that fulfill some objective. Maybe it's, there's an objective that says, go find the elements that Marie Curie discovered. So you have to go find radium and you have to go find uranium. Or maybe it's find 3 different noble gases. Or maybe it's find whatever it is. And so you're bouncing all over the board, moving your little thing all over the board, trying to find these different elements. And it is, Genius Games does a really great job of giving you games that give you educational opportunities without making it feel like an educational game. Yes. There's a whole separate rule book that you can dive into, and it kind of explains the science behind all the things that you just physically did in the game. And why you did this, why you did this, why those things are connected, why is the periodic table organized like this, all that kind of stuff. So it gamifies a scientific concept, in this case the periodic table of elements, and it does a really great job of it, and it's a fun game. It looks cool, the bits are good, and it's a great game outside of being an educational opportunity, but then it also has an educational opportunity. Love that combination.
Whew! We did it. We did this next installment of 10. Awesome. But we want to hear from you. Are any of these games on your top 100? Are there any games on our list that you're like, yes, that game is awesome? Let us know in the comments below.
Are some of our games just too weird that you wouldn't even, if you ever heard of them? We want to know about that too. We find that information very, very fun and valuable to us too. So be sure to comment below. We'd love to hear from you.
Don't forget to subscribe, and you can follow us in all of these places.
You guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
You guys, thanks for watching our shenanigans. As always, we appreciate it. Over here, if you follow this link, you're going to find a playlist we've hand-selected, handcrafted just for you because you watched this video.
And if you check over here, this is a video that YouTube thinks you might like. So you can check that out if you want as well.
All right, we appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.